see on your screen, it is match 4, game 2, Sheth versus DeMuslim. And the load screen.
Here we go, and Crevasse it is going to be. So down here at the bottom left-hand corner and taking game number 1, that is our Teal Zerg player. That is Liquid Sheth, so give a cheer if you are rooting for him.
And down at the bottom right is our Red Terran player from the Team Evil Geniuses. If you're a fan, give a cheer for Evil Geniuses DeMuslim.
And looks like DeMuslim pointing out that the back natural, and what he's referring to is, of course, there are 2 easy-to-take bases on Crevasse. Oh, okay, we may have a different map choice. We'll find out here in just a second.
I think they're just joking, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But
let's see. Oh, full map. Oh, that's right. The IPL maps all have the full.
Yes.
Bases and everything. Okay.
Yeah. There's this little ramp here which leads to a base that's inside of your main. Yeah. And on some versions, you just have 6 or 5 mineral patches and a rich Vespian Geyser. In this case, it's a full 8 mineral patches and double Vespian Geyser, same as a normal base.
Well, this map has gone through a couple revisions as well. I mean, in the GSL, it was originally that rich Vespian Geyser, like you said, at the natural that's on the high ground. They actually changed it after a while to just be a normal Vespian Geyser. So basically, the choice was you could either expand down to the natural below your base, which is a little bit more exposed. But the trade-off is that if you expand to the safer natural expansion that's on the high ground, you have less minerals and only 1 gas as well. So,
you know, I actually always enjoyed it when it was the single rich Vespian Geyser, because you had people that built a lot of timings around super fast CC, hatch, whatever, and then just putting up their first gas at the rich Vespian Geyser. So they only have to allocate 3 SCVs, drones, whatever, to mining gas, and they can still hit a lot of conventional timings that they would have if they allocated 6 to 2 Vespian Geysers. So
that's
always made for some very cool, very specific strategies.
Well, speaking of strategies, hatch first for Liquid Sheth, and DeMuslim going for regular barracks and gas timing. I should look to see if he built that refinery on 14. I'll have to see if we go to a game 3 to see if he does that or not. Ever since the barracks change, where it became 5 seconds longer to build, Terran players have been kind of wondering about, you know, when should I put down my refinery now? Can I do it on 14? Is that going to hurt me? I was talking to, I mentioned this yesterday, I was talking to Sho about it for quite a bit in Korea, trying to kind of mull this over a little bit. I've still been putting it at the normal timing myself, but we did see some Terrans intentionally doing the refinery on 14 rather than 13 yesterday, so we may see a bit of a change there in some of the openings.
I think DeMuslim put that down on 13 because he had the 25 gas available for a tech lab, had he decided when to go that route, as soon as the barracks was finished, so then he would have been able to put that up right away. So.
Oh, that drone is not getting anywhere.
Aw, poor drone.
I don't feel bad at all.
You Terran player, you.
I know.
I am too. I don't even know why I just said that.
I don't know. The drones have that weird attack sound, man.
Yeah.
It's freaking me out.
Thwack. Thwack.
Yep.
Anyway, 2 queens coming up now for Sheth. He's mining pretty good. He's mining gas at a pretty good rate, so he's going to get speed here pretty soon. And we do have a swap for Hellions that's about to happen here. This barracks not being utilized in the destruction to Overlords this game.
Sounds good to me. The Overlords, you know, I'm not a big fan of drones. I'm okay with the Overlords, though. I mean, they just kind of float along. They have that kind of like Zen thing going.
Man.
They're just hanging out. Yeah, and then Marines have to come and kill them, you know? It's too bad.
And DeMuslim going to run away with a few Marines. He's actually going to split his Marines, but Sheth did a very, very nice thing and sent 3 lings after each Marine, so both those are still going to die.
Well, you know, Marines aren't the only unit that can split in StarCraft 2, apparently.
Factory already producing a couple of Hellions there. We already have the expansion, about halfway done now for DeMuslim. But Sheth had picked up a couple of pretty good kills there. There's not much to defend the front here. Is DeMuslim going to put the supply depot? He does. Lings almost made their way in, though.
Get up just in time. And here come the Hellions. They're going to be able to roast these lings, which probably taste delicious with the right sauce. And he's also going to be able to get a little bit of map control with this as well. I mean, that's really the strength of those early game Hellions. Not to kill workers, but just to get that map control.
Yeah, certainly. And Sheth has not really shown us any tech quite yet. He actually just, he pulled a couple of units off of the extractor at first when he had first got up his Zergling speed, and he went right back into it a second ago as he goes back into Roach Warren. But DeMuslim actually taking a quick third command center once again.
This is cool. I really like this. Now, I think Sheth is going to scout it, though. He does. He sees the fast third, and that's going to obviously influence a little bit on how he plays here. He knows that he's going to have a little bit more time. He won't be under such pressure as he would, you know, from a normal 2-base timing that a lot of turns would do. The question is, will Sheth decide to get aggressive from this? It looks like he might be, because he's sending a decent amount of lings across the map, chasing back the Hellions. But you know what? DeMuslim, he's got a lot of Hellions here. He used some minerals on that command center, and at the same time, that means he didn't need to use more resources for teching. He could keep pumping out Hellions.
You know, I was, while you were talking, I thought that Sheth was going to do what he's doing right now. He's just going to pump roaches and lings, and it looks like he's going to try and make a good timing here that comes in before the command center finishes and is able to actually start receiving a profit. So DeMuslim's only going to have these Hellions on the ground. He has a couple of Marauders in the mix, but against the number of lings and the number of Marauders that, the number of roaches that are already on the ground, 2 Marauders isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, it all depends on the control to a certain extent, too. The Hellions trying to clean up those Zerglings as best they can, but they are going to run as soon as they see those roaches. There they go. And now DeMuslim is going to need to control very, very well to hold this off. He's only got 3. Actually, I was going to say he's only got 2 Marauders, but the third one pops out, and that's actually a pretty good sign. I mean, 3 Marauders are going to do okay against this if he micros them well. The only problem is that he doesn't have any bunkers. He's not going to be able to use the range increase of that.
Oh! Lings running right into the Hellions, and there went a lot of the cover for the roaches, so those Marauders are going to be able to do more damage. And, is Sheth going to get a couple of kills himself? No, makes a couple of Hellions very, very low, however, and the Marauders are going to come out and start driving away those units. Concussive Shell is finished, so the roaches are actually taking quite a bit of damage. Here come the Lings as well. They're going to try and occupy some of those Marauders, so the roaches can do a little bit more damage. And the roaches do genuinely get a few Hellion kills, so not all is lost. But, you know, Sheth decided to stop committing to that pretty soon. I didn't know if he was just going to pump endless waves of roaches and lings at this point, just off of 2 bases and try and kill his opponent outright. But as soon as he sent out that first attack of 6 lings, he went right back into producing drones.
Yeah, still making some drones. He has to make a couple lings and roaches now just to stay alive, basically, because if he didn't make any, he would just die. But, yeah, you know, that was kind of a large investment for Sheth to make early in the game. Will cut down his drone production a little bit. Obviously, he's still ahead of DeMuslim at the moment. 46 to 35 SCVs, but now that there are 3 command centers out, DeMuslim will be able to really start pumping out those SCVs, and the mules as well are going to really help boost that economy. Yeah,
certainly. Actually, let's take a look at that economic tab right now. DeMuslim is up, like you said, backed by 9 workers, where the mules are there and giving him the advantage at the moment. Lost a Hellion there as he tried to swing in and just kind of test the waters and see if Sheth had anything up. Sheth's going to a 3rd base of his own, but I imagine we're going to see a 4th unless he just plans to outright do some sort of roachling all in.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, DeMuslim going into what I like to call the SC style, just going very, very heavy bio, although he is adding on a good amount of Marauders here as well. So a little bit different than the SC style, I guess.
And DeMuslim going to make his way down in just a second. Maybe he wants to just start pushing himself on creep. Sheth doesn't have a ton of units up. He's waiting for a few more to pop and reinforce. There we go. There's a bunch of lings. He's going to start making his way in. And the lings actually get a pretty good surround there, occupy most of the Marauders, and that's really all he wants, because then the roaches are going to be able to come up and take out the rest of the Hellions with really no problem.
Yeah, he did not do too bad at all, that attack. I mean, that surround that the lings got made the Hellions that much less valuable in that composition here. DeMuslim's definitely not out of things yet. In fact, Sheth may be being a little bit too aggressive with these roaches, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's going to pay for it. He's going to lose a lot of roaches here. Now, the one thing with DeMuslim's units, though, is that he doesn't have any medevacs out yet. So anytime he stims, that's permanent damage, man. That's not going to get healed.
No! Poor lone Roche. Misrallied across. Yeah, it's all right. Sheth is actually producing quite a few units. +1 attacks coming up now for missile attacks range units. We did just have roach speed finish as well, and it looks like Sheth just wants to engage. He's going to swing with lings behind this. We'll see if he can do enough damage, or as much damage as he wants to do. There are now Marines in the mix as well, and upgraded Marines are going to be useful against both the roaches and the lings, so DeMuslim finds a way to crush through that force.
Yeah, a lot of those units have taken some pretty heavy damage, but the reinforcements for DeMuslim are looking pretty scary in this moment. I guess what happened to that sentence?
I don't know. I was wondering myself.
So great,
was I supposed to pick up on that?
It just sort of like ended.
Oh, but DeMuslim, not operating under the cover of his reinforcements, actually voluntarily splitting his forces, thus allowing Sheth to clean up quite a few units, where Sheth was actually quite far behind before, and still is to a degree. I mean, DeMuslim's on 3 base now. He's going to be able to create quite the army. Will allow Sheth a little bit back into this, though.
This is such a back and forth ZVT. I haven't seen one like this in a long time here. This heavy Marauder Hellion composition versus just Roach Link from Sheth, and they kind of just keep chasing each other back and forth through the middle of the map. And situations like this usually just kind of last like this until one player wins the battle decisively and then can just go and win with, you know, the counterattack. So you don't see a lot of TVZs like this.
This is actually my favorite style of game, though. Just that mass mid-game aggression, back and forth battle, relies on control while continuing to macro back at home. No, I think it's very, very fun. Let's actually take a look at the upgrades. DeMuslim just finishing up +1 weapons. He has +1 armor on the way as well, but it's not going to be here for a while. And Sheth, man, he's just producing a ton of attack units. Another 8 roaches and 16 lanes coming back up at home.
I like what Sheth is doing right now. He's moving those units up to the top of the map. Unfortunately, his units down at the bottom get caught a little bit by DeMuslim's army, but Sheth could have a good chance to flank the units of DeMuslim.
Yeah, he's starting to move down right now.
That may be exactly, you know, what I was talking about. Oh no, he's just going to cut off reinforcements with that, actually.
And we'll see if that forces DeMuslim aware if he's just going to try and do as much damage as he can. Still 30 more lanes coming up, so Sheth is actually producing like a beast at the moment. And he has done a pretty successful job of catching these forces unaware back at home. DeMuslim losing most of that bioforce and is at risk of losing quite a bit of economy as well. The reinforcements for Sheth may actually be able to take out this bioforce, so DeMuslim may have had this flipped on his head.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason we don't see people go Marine Marauder Hellion too much in TVZ anymore, and this is exactly why. Because if you have a good Zerg with good macro like this, who knows the amount of units to produce, you can hold something like this off fairly easily. The challenge is that it really forces the Zerg player to be very, very careful about the amount of units they make in relation to the amount of drones they make, and that's how the Terrans can win a lot of games, because not a lot of Zergs can do that, man.
Yeah, certainly. And there are just endless swarms of Zerglings coming out now for Sheth, so he is just going to try and push and make this happen right now, forcing a lot of those bio units away, or at least to the back, until they can group reinforce. But here we go. Now the Lings are starting to stream behind, so this engagement is going to go very well for Sheth. DeMuslim working himself back into a corner so we can get the best possible engagement, but even with pulling SCVs, there are just a ton of units here for Sheth.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to handle this army quite easily. Sheth, it looked like for a moment he might be able to hold this off.
Yeah, reinforcements came in from DeMuslim, swung in from the side. Didn't actually anticipate those, and Sheth is actually driven off for the moment.
Wow. All right, nice defense by DeMuslim.
Really, really good hold.
Yeah, now the thing is Sheth has killed 19 SCVs, and DeMuslim hasn't really returned the favor, and DeMuslim trying to be aggressive here. This is actually going to be a lot more effective now that the medevacs are out. That changes everything right now.
I agree 100%. I mean, I thought Sheth was on the verge of taking the game, but those reinforcements swung in from DeMuslim with the medevacs, and Sheth's army disappeared, and now he's actually fighting an uphill battle as DeMuslim is starting to pull ahead in supply.
Yeah, you know, the other thing too is the upgrades are starting to come into play. 1-1 for the bio of DeMuslim, whereas Sheth is sitting at just +1 attack right now. No plus armor upgrades for his units yet, and you know, that makes the difference here.
And this is the reason that I love these style games, because comebacks like this are just possible. It is amazing to watch. Sheth is reinforcing with tons of units now, but he's sticking on that 42 workers. He's been there for quite a while. DeMuslim is continuing to produce workers, was making them 3 at a time just a second ago. And with Siege Mode just about to finish, is going to be able to make an extremely strong push.
Yeah, man, this looks like a game from beta. It's very interesting here, this Marine Marauder composition against Zerg, and Zerg not really teching much past Zerglings and Roaches. And now with the Siege tanks coming out, the Siege Mode finishing just now, yeah, he takes out the third, and Sheth suddenly down to basically just kind of 1.5 mining bases, because the main is getting so low on minerals as well.
Yep, and Sheth actually doing a little bit of a Ling counterattack, kills quite a few workers. Don't think he's going to be able to get any of those supply depots, however, and DeMuslim is actually retreating to go ahead and take that force out. Sheth actually going to attack with all he's got, even these queens running off of creep to go ahead and assist.
They may not actually ever make it to the fight, but hey, we're going to give him like an A for effort, or E for effort, or whatever effort starts with an A plus grade and an E for effort. But here comes Sheth. He just does not have enough units to handle what DeMuslim has. DeMuslim has a 30 supply advantage, and yeah, he is just going to absolutely crush Sheth's army right now.
Nice transfusion micro from Sheth, but that alone is not enough, as DeMuslim is still powering through this force. Sheth throws out the GG.
Wow, and we are going to game 3.
Yes, we are. So that is going to happen here in just a second. Of course, it is going to be Sheth's pick of map, but wow.